Now imagine not only having the strength of a god, but looking like one too. Well, you play your cards right, you can combine bodybuilding and powerlifting to become a power builder. What's up everyone? David here. Got a new video for y'all today. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you don't miss on any new videos. Because remember, new videos on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So don't miss out. Now today, everything we're going to be going over is going to revolve around the concept of power building. Now, many of you may not know what that is, but I got a feeling many of you, that would be the ideal training split that you're looking for. All we're talking about here is looking like a bodybuilder, having the physique of a bodybuilder, wide shoulders, big arms, big legs, small waist, but having the strength of a power lifter, lifting heavy amounts of weights on the squat, bench, and deadlift. I want many of you to really envision that. Look at your typical power lifter. They don't necessarily always have a good physique per se, especially if you get into the super heavyweight groups, but they lift a tremendous amount of weights. But if you look at a bodybuilder, they have an amazing physique. Whether it's enhanced or not, you can't deny it. They look good, but is the strength there to back it up? Maybe, sometimes it just depends. Well, today we're gonna take the best of both worlds. We're gonna combine them. Because think about who wouldn't wanna look good, but not only look good, but you have the ability to lift. Again, it's not always about looks, it's about functionality as well. Yeah, you look good, but can you perform good? Well, if you combine the two lifting styles, then you'll be good to go. So again, just to reiterate, bodybuilding, bigger muscles, really emphasizing the physique. Whereas in powerlifting, the main emphasis is just your 1 rep max, 1 RM, specifically on the squat, the bench press, and the deadlifts. Now, me personally, this is my favorite training style. This is something that I personally do. This is what I get the best results out of. I've always been gravitated towards strength. I've always worried more about lifting just the most amount of weight as I can. Pretty sure you look at many of my other training videos, you see I'm always trying to load up the bar even more. But at the same time, you know, I wouldn't mind having bigger arms, bigger legs, having wider shoulders, wider back, bigger chest that sticks out. The looks, although in the long term realistically will not get you anything performance-wise, it's just nice to know that you have it. So now that we know the difference between the two, how do we combine them? You look at any typical bodybuilding split, it's always, you know, the bro split. We got a leg day, chest day, back day, arm day, shoulder day. But if you look at a powerlifting split, a powerlifting workout program, it's a little different. Everything revolves around just the main movement of that day, the squat, the bench press, the deadlift. You don't have a leg day, you don't have a chest day, back day, arm day. No, you have a squat day, you have a bench press day, you have a deadlift day. Now, what exercises they do on each one, that's gonna vary from person to person. It's not like bodybuilding where if you say you're gonna be training chest, then it's pretty common. All the workout programs are usually around the same. You're gonna do some type of bench press, something incline, and maybe some type of, you know, isolation movement like flies or cable crossovers. So with powerlifting, it's a little different. So how are we gonna put both of them together? I feel just to start off with, the best way to go about it is gonna be a legs push pull type of scheme. Now on legs, that should be pretty obvious. Quads, glutes, hamstrings, calves, but we're really gonna emphasize the squat as our powerlifting movement for that day. For push, chest, delts, triceps, emphasizing the bench press as our powerlifting movement. Now pull, we're gonna put deadlift under that day, but when you really break it down, the deadlift is not necessarily a back exercise. Because think about it, you're forcing your hips and your knees to extend. So what does that work? Essentially, that's kind of the same movement pattern as a squat. Because again, in the squat, what are you doing? Hips and knees are the joints that are moving. It's not like the other back exercises where you're pulling. At what point during a deadlift are you pulling your arms back like this or pulling your arms down like this? So you see, there's a big difference, but we can't put the deadlift on the squat day because again, we might be, you know, tired and fatigued from the squats. So for the sake of this split, we're gonna put it under pull day. So we're gonna do deadlifts, but on top of that, we're gonna go ahead and train our back, our biceps, you know, the pulling muscles. Everything in the program is going to fall in line with the very first exercise of that day. And again, the first exercise is gonna be those big three, squat, bench, and deadlift. When it comes to power building, looks of a bodybuilder, strength of a power lifter, I really want to emphasize pyramid sets. Now, what does pyramid set means? That means you're moving up in weight each set that you do as a warm-up. You reach that top set, And then afterwards, you do a couple of back down sets, decreasing the weight. So again, pyramid up in weight. Those are your warm-up sets. You should not be fatigued until you reach the very top. Get what you can, whatever that top set of the day is, and then do some back down sets. So in the case of squat day or leg day, what I personally did, because again, all of this is going to revolve around what personally has worked for me. You can cater it based on your needs. I warmed up with the bar, then I went 1 plate, 2 plates, 3 plates, and I had a top set of 345 for 1 rep. Okay, nothing too crazy, good amount of strain, got it done. Afterwards, now I started taking off some weight, and this is now where that bodybuilding comes into play. That top set, whatever it may be, is gonna vary depending on where you are with your program. That's the powerlifting side of it. So whether it be 315 for a set of 5, or you have some type of heavy triple, some heavy double, whatever it is, that top set, that already checks off powerlifting because you got your strength work in. Afterwards, back down sets, we're gonna go back to the bodybuilding. I do 2 back down sets afterwards, and that is just gonna be as many reps as possible, AMRAPs. So I went down to 315, repped it out, got as many as I could with good form, and then afterwards, 1 more drop down set, but with this time, 275, same thing, get as many as I can. Now, as for bench press, did a warm up set with the bar, a plate, 185, 225, top set of 1 with 265. Got it, good amount of strain, that covers my strength. That's my powerlifting of the day. And then afterwards, did an AMRAP set with 2 plates and then an AMRAP set of 185. For deadlift, went the bar, 1 plate, 2, 3, 4 plates, and then topped out at a top set of 425 for 1. And then afterwards, AMRAP with 405, then AMRAP with 315. Boom. So you see, with that first big compound movement of the day, worked up to my top set that covers my powerlifting needs, and then did 2 AMRAP sets, higher rep sets, really controlling the weight on the way down, really contracting on the way up, that covers my bodybuilding. So you see, we're still combining both. Now, afterwards, we're gonna go ahead and move on to some type of either variation, if that's what you want to call it, or some type of compound movement that you know is going to assist in the big lifts. So for me, squat. What does that work? Obviously quads and glutes. What is a good variation that I can do that still is gonna have direct carryover and work the same muscle groups as the squat? I went ahead and did a leg press. Again, same muscle groups being worked. So if I can work those same muscle groups and if I can get stronger in leg press, then obviously that strength is gonna carry over to help build up my squat. For bench press, what is a good variation? Incline dumbbell press. If I get stronger with the incline dumbbell press, then that strength is going to carry over on the regular bench press because again, it works the same muscle groups. Now this one's a little different because remember I said earlier, deadlifts is more of a leg exercise if you really break it down biomechanically. However, what is one thing that still works on a deadlift? Spinal erectors, lower back all the way to the top, because again, you're having to hold yourself in this position. You don't want the weight to pull you down. What is another exercise that I do where I'm in that bent position where my lower back, actually my whole back will have to work hard to keep my torso upright? 1 arm dumbbell rows, because if I just collapse, I'm falling. So you see, there is some type of carryover, and now we're looking at that bodybuilding, because not only am I using the strength that I'll build up from this to carry over to the deadlift, but now I'm also starting to work some of those lats. And that's the big thing with powerlifting. You look at a powerlifting split, there's not much back work being done. The very few back exercises that would be done are probably going to lie somewhere within the bench press day, because they always say retract your shoulder blades, pinch shoulder blades back. They would say you want a bigger back because that's the foundation of a bench press. You need something to press off of, but we don't see it being taken as seriously the way bodybuilders would take their lat work serious. So again, when it comes to power building, if you're normally just a power lifter, you're gonna start seeing an increasing amount of back work that you do as a whole. So overall, I did 3 sets of right around, and this is where it starts to vary based on your needs, but now we're not necessarily doing the low reps for strength, but we're not doing ultra high reps. So for these, I do typically anywhere between 5 and 8 reps for this big compound variation. So you see, it's kind of that in between, not necessarily isolation exercises for bodybuilding, not necessarily the big compound movement for powerlifting. It's that nice in between. It's a variation. Once you get those done and out the way, then we go ahead and move on to what powerlifters will typically call accessories, but for bodybuilders, we might call this isolations. So accessories for powerlifting are usually deemed as those smaller exercises that, don't take as much, mental focus, because we all know, for anyone who lifts pretty heavy, when you're going for a 1 rep max on any of the top lifts or top set, you got to get mentally in the zone. You got to make sure you're firing on all cylinders. You got to make sure everything's aligned just right. When it comes to these smaller accessory movements, you're just there to, get a little more work in, get a pump, get the blood going. It doesn't take as much mental fatigue, but you still have to get it done. And typically, the joke is that powerlifters, when you're tired at the end of the day, at the end of the workout, you skip your accessories. But those are important. It's supposed to be an accessory to help with that big lift. As in bodybuilding, these smaller exercises will typically be called isolation. That's what they usually describe as, that's what's gonna give you the fine detail. That's what's gonna help you work that small individual spot in that muscle, really bringing up the weak points. So we're just gonna go ahead and combine them. So what would accessories for our squat/leg day be? If you want to do any additional quad work, quad specific work like leg extensions, sissy squats, things like that, you can. Obviously hit some direct hamstring work, hit some direct calf work. Now, typically, do powerlifters train hamstrings to carry over on the squat? Not necessarily, because when you really think about it, the squat doesn't really work the hamstrings. The squat is primarily moved by your quads and your glutes. But for bodybuilding, you do need hamstrings because it completes the look of your physique. Calves for powerlifting. Do we see any type of calf work being done? Not really. But will you benefit from it? Probably, because how many of you have ever had a heavy squat and you start leaning back a little, start leaning a little bit more forward like that, really trying to stabilize? What do you think keeps you upright? What helps you keep you grounded? Not even just for that, but for deadlifts too. How many of you have hitched the deadlift and you start leaning back? Oh no, too much. Let's bring it back right here. All of that is calf stabilization. So obviously work your calves, and then for bodybuilding, it should be obvious why you should be working for your calves. You got to complete the look of the entire leg. The last thing you want is to be wearing shorts and then you have small calves. So therefore people think that you skip legs, but in reality, your thighs are really big, but you just skip the calf training. So those accessories will carry over to building up your squat and completing the look of good, well-developed legs. Now, accessories for your push day, again, we're emphasizing the bench press on this day, direct chest work, delts, and triceps. If you want to do any additional chest exercises, you can. At this point, now we're thinking straight on bodybuilding, because we already got our powerlifting out the way with the compound exercises. So we could do something like a cable crossover, just really getting a deep stretch in those pecs, getting a good contraction. Then we move on to delts for powerlifting. The main way, or the main thing you're going to be getting out of delts are realistically front raises, because when we bench press, what is the only portion of your delt, of your shoulder, that's actually being worked? The front delt. Delts have 3 parts: front, side, back. Front part is what allows us to move our arm forward, and when we bench press, that's exactly what we're doing. There is absolutely no movement in powerlifting where your arms are moving sideways like this, so you're not really going to be needing your side delts to be bigger or stronger. But for bodybuilding, the wide delt, the side delt, is going to be even more important because we want that wide look. So we're going to go ahead and combine them. Do some accessories for your delts. Do a couple of front raises, and then afterwards do a couple of laterals to the side. So boom, you're covering both. You're getting your front delt work for your powerlifting to help you lift heavier on the bench press, and you're working your side delts to help you wider to improve your physique for bodybuilding. And then lastly, triceps. When it comes to the bench press for powerlifting, a lot of people, they struggle with the lockout. Like me, when I bench press, I got it up halfway, and that's when the real struggle came in. And why is that struggle there? Because of weak triceps. So let's go ahead and do some direct work to really build them up. That's gonna carry over to our lockout. And then for bodybuilding, obviously, you want bigger arms, work your triceps. Again, triceps, 2/3 of your arm. So if you want bigger arms, you wanna fill out the sleeves, do some direct work for the back of your arm. For our pull day, emphasizing deadlifts, we already got our accessory to help us with deadlift. Now it's just a matter of bodybuilding. And like I said earlier, powerlifters, from what I've seen, it's not a lot of direct back work, but you should have it because, again, a bigger back is going to help you with bench press because it's a bigger foundation that you can press off of. So let's go ahead and do some lat work. Let's go ahead and do some good amount of pull downs. And since we're speaking of pull downs, think about it. On a squat, what are you supposed to do with the bar? You're supposed to pull it down into. Think of it like you're bending the bar into your back. And what is that also mimicking? A lat pull down. So you see there's going to be direct carryover to your leg workout, to your squat specifically. Afterwards, do even more. Let's go ahead and do, boom, some rows, some cable rows, low cable rows like that. Again, that's going to carry over to your bench press because when you bench press, what are you supposed to do with your shoulders? Boom, shoulders back. So you see these back movements, although they're gonna help build up your lats, which is good for bodybuilding, the movement pattern specifically is gonna help carry over to the same movement patterns that you're gonna use to give you an edge on bench press and squat. So don't skip it. Traps. When you squat, what does the bar sit on? Your traps. So let's go ahead and make it a little easier for us. Build up that shelf right there so the bar sits comfortably on our back. For bodybuilding, it completes the look of our torso. You don't want to have big, wide shoulders, very well developed upper chest, and then you have no traps and no neck to go along with it. So that's it for back and traps. If you want to group them together, you can. Biceps and forearms. For powerlifters, we don't see it too much, specifically the biceps. Because unless you're competing in a strict curl competition like this, you're really not going to be doing anything in any of these movements where you're going to be requiring your elbow to bend like this against resistance. But for bodybuilding, obviously, big biceps. Do we not pose like this? Yes. So train it. And if you do some direct bicep work, you make them stronger, you can minimize the risk of popping a bicep during a deadlift. Look at deadlift bicep tears. It's usually when they're doing an over-under grip, the hand that's under, they come up and the bicep just tears and it rolls up the arm. Weak biceps. So let's go ahead and just strengthen them. Again, a little bit of strength. This is more for injury prevention for powerlifting, and obviously train them for bigger biceps for bodybuilding, completing the look of your arm. Forearms. If you want to think of it as training your forearms for looks, okay, that can help with bodybuilding because the last thing you want is a very big, overdeveloped upper arm and T-Rex forearms. Let's get bigger forearms. It will flow better because, again, bodybuilding is all about the physique. How does everything flow? What's the overall look? But for powerlifting, you won't necessarily be training forearms. You'll be training grip strength because deadlifts, once you start getting heavy enough, keep in mind, in competitions, you're not allowed to use straps. So we need to have stronger hands, a stronger grip to hold onto the bar. So many times you see powerlifters, they're so close to getting that PR. They're so close to getting that lift. And just before they reach lockout, their hands start opening up because their grip gave out. So do some direct grip exercises. So for forearms, if you want to do some wrist curls, some wrist extensions, okay, that's good. Or you want to do some grip exercises, you can go ahead and do some farmer's walks, hold the deadlift at the top. Me, honestly, the only way I train grip strength nowadays, especially with this type of format, is whatever that top set is of deadlifts, I just hold it at the top for a couple of seconds and then I let go. Luckily for me though, I've always been blessed with good grip strength. I never really had to struggle too much with it. So I can get away with, skipping the forearm training occasionally as long as I just hold the top deadlifts at a time. But that's just for me personally. So there you have it, everyone. Bodybuilding, looking like a god. Powerlifting, having the strength of one. It is possible to take the best of both worlds and combine them. You can have the physique of a bodybuilder and the strength of a powerlifter to go along with it. You just gotta be real careful about the way you're programming, but if you do it right, you can achieve both. Use this template, change it as needed. Tell me if you see results. Comment down below if this video was helpful, and comment down below anything else that you will add, or if you have specific experience with power building. How would you structure the program and how would you change what's worked for you? Maybe it might work for someone else. Also, be sure to comment down below any other video suggestions you'd like to see me do, whether it be about mindset, motivation, nutrition, diets, workouts, programs, whatever it is, comment down below. I'd be more than happy to help you all out. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any new videos. And if you want to go ahead and support this channel, then you can go ahead and check out our membership option down below. And again, it will really help out this channel and you'll get access to more exclusive videos. Link in the description if you want more details on that. And then Instagram and TikTok, same thing. Be sure to follow me on both accounts. Well, TikTok, I don't know if it will matter. Apparently it's getting banned in a couple of days, but whatever. If you want to follow me on anything, all my links are down in the description below. With that being said, I'll catch y'all next time.